This is Paul Schneiderman today on the 116th edition of the Sports Untold podcast, also on Rainier Avenue Radio. We're back with another edition. Took a little hiatus, but back today. My special guest today is University of Washington walk-on basketball player Noah Neubauer, a recent University of Washington graduate, a great guy. Noah, going to get back to you in a minute. My podcast is also now on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Google, iTunes, Podbean. You can go to Sports Untold podcast.com. I encourage my listeners to click the like button regarding my show, comment, positive comments only, of course. And you can also go to sportsuntoldpodcast.com and listen to some other shows. And you can also find my shows on YouTube. We'll make it back to you, Noah. I promise I would. Noah Neubauer is a recent University of Washington graduate. He played basketball at University of Washington, Garfield High School. Noah recently went through the senior basketball ceremony at the University of Washington, although he still has some eligibility left that we can maybe talk about. Definitely going to talk to Noah about, his future in general and maybe his future in college basketball. Noah is a walk-on player, and he's seen so much University of Washington basketball on his years of playing with UW, got some playing time. On a personal note, I've been friends with Noah and his family for many years. His grandfather, Ron, is a relative. So Noah and I like to say we're kind of related. So have that honor as well. Noah is known as Orange Ice. There's a fun article by Dan Rayleigh, Sports Illustrated columnist, about Noah getting his first points in the University of Washington Stanford game this year. Noah had a 3-point shot. It's a neat story. Noah, I kind of mentioned to you this off the air, these things. You fit 3 categories of a guest I've been looking for. One, I want to do more shows in UW basketball program. I've had Eldridge Kazner on, but I want to get some more UW basketball talk. 2, I've been getting a lot of encouragement to get more younger guests. You do meet that criteria. And 3, I've wanted to have a conversation with a walk-on player for a while. So on a serious note, you meet 3 fun kind of categories. So on that note, Noah Neubauer, thank you for joining me on the 116th edition of the Sports Untold podcast, also on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Noah. Well, Noah, I've seen you play basketball. I see you on the sidelines. I see you warm up. I've seen you play in some games. You seem like the happiest guy in the world when it comes to basketball, whether you're playing or not. You just love it. Tell us how you developed such a love of the sport of basketball.
Just growing up, always, played basketball since I can remember. I feel like it's just a culture. Just all my friends I know play basketball. Every summer we would just go run outside, play basketball. But I feel like my love for the game really came from like the competitiveness and kind of like the drive for the game. I love basketball and I love playing with my friends and I love winning. That competitive side has always been in me. I've always been the kind of a loudmouth, hothead type of guy if I lose. So yeah, just the drive and the fun team building is very, very awesome for me.
No, you played high school basketball at Garfield High School in Seattle. For some of the listeners who may be outside of Seattle or may not be as familiar with Garfield High School, it's known as a really competitive top hoops program. And you made the team there and got some playing time. Is there ever a side of you, Noah, that kind of wonders if you played at another high school and got more playing time, if where your career would have gone? Do you ever wonder about that sometimes? Because, you play with a couple of future NBA players at Garfield. Tell us about that,
Well, originally, because coming into high school, I was probably 5'3", 130 pounds. So I was very little guy. People starting to go through puberty. I was, still small. So I wanted to go to Roosevelt High School. So I was playing for their feeder team. It's called Wake. It's a little like Roosevelt feeder team. Talk to the coach and all that. And I was, I wanted to enroll to Roosevelt, but I had to apply because it was outside of my district. So I didn't get in at first. Which was all right. So I planned on going to Garfield, but then I finally got into Roosevelt. But I guess me and my dad made a decision where I feel like Garfield would be more, all my friends are going to Garfield. I don't really know too many people at Roosevelt. So I just decided to go to Garfield. And yeah, I feel like my life would be a lot different. I feel like, a lot of my friends, I don't even know if I would be able to go to UW. Going to Roosevelt, I would be a whole different person, I feel like.
So you could have got more playing time in another school, but but going to Garfield kind of shaped who you are in many ways.
Yeah. I feel like at Roosevelt, probably would have made varsity my freshman year, but I I mean, even as a senior in high school, I was 5'7". So I mean, I'm 5'8", 6 feet maybe. I was still a small guy. Roosevelt would have been a lot better. I would have, probably started for sure. Got a lot of playing time, but yeah, Garfield, I didn't really play. I swung my junior year. So I mean, I played JV and then played varsity 2 quarters. And then yeah, my senior year I made it. But yeah, I didn't play much, but I feel like my Roosevelt, if I went to Roosevelt, it would have been a whole different story. Sure.
You gotta wonder. It's kind of interesting. I went to Roosevelt. You gotta
Yeah.
wonder if you went to a school like Bush University Prep, you
Yeah.
all conference and all that, So it's the trade-offs. What are you now? About 6'2" now?
Now I say 6'3". I'd be saying 6'4" with shoes, but I feel like really 6'3", yeah.
And the hair may add an inch and a half, right?
Yeah, hair gets me a little bit. Sure.
Love it. But no, I want to ask you. We're going to talk mostly sports today, but I hit on some other issues on sports.
Sure.
So you're a white guy. You grew up in I think in the Madison Park area. You attended Garfield, and going to Garfield, you got exposed to people of many different backgrounds and colors. I mean, Garfield is known as a real melting pot. Mm-hmm. And you played basketball at Garfield, in particular. Quite a few African American players, play basketball at Garfield. Yep. There's a lot of discussion. I think there will always be about race and justice issues and everything. Just tell us, Noah, about how this has shaped you, being a Caucasian guy and being exposed to so many people of color. Just talk about how that shaped you as a person.
Well, originally, for middle school, I went to Washington Middle School, so that was also, where I kind of started meeting a lot of people that went to Garfield. But my junior and senior year, I was the only white guy on the team, which, I stood out, especially with having orange hair. It doesn't, makes me extra stand out. But it just made me more, low-key aware. Garfield's a very, people are doing a bunch of different things. There's walkouts, there's protesters, people all believing in different things. So just being in the school like that really made me aware to a lot of issues and social issues where I really didn't know about before, or didn't even realize were happening, until I went to a school like that, where it opened my eyes and really showed me how, I guess, blessed I am, to be in a situation, and to really, it kind of forced me to kind of stand out and say my words where I over other people won't be able to say anything.
So just to kind of being around people of different cultures kind of gave you some more perspectives.
Right. Huge perspective, just a bunch of different backgrounds, a bunch of different, people, how they grew up. Like you said, I grew up in Madison Park, not very diverse at all. Growing up, all my friends were white growing up. And then, coming to high school, being the only white guy, all my friends are now African-American now, which is, I love them. I love the culture. I love everything. I kind of like being the only guy, standing out. I like being different. I don't like, being like everybody else. They welcome me. They love me. It was the best time of my life. Garfield was super fun.
Gotcha. I'm going to throw out this term for some listeners that may not be familiar with this term. Sometimes when people throw out terms in sports and different fields, right, we understand those terms, but some people may not. So for those who aren't familiar with this term, a walk-on is a college player. Tell me if you agree with this. No, the way I'm describing this, who's a non-scholarship player who essentially comes to play on a team as a walk-on, as a non-scholarship player. And some walk-on players can become scholarship players, but many do not. Did I give a good working definition of what a walk-on?
Yeah, that's pretty much it for sure.
Okay. So Noah, you made a decision to walk on at University of Washington. Kind of curious about the process. And did Coach Mike Hawkins contact you to see if you wanted to walk on the team? Just tell us about how the whole walk-on situation emerged.
Well, originally, I wasn't really planning on playing basketball in college. I applied to other Pac-12 schools. I applied just to Arizona State, Arizona, Colorado, just schools like that, just to apply, just to go. But I was in contact with Coach Cameron Dollar. That's one of my mentors, one of the greatest guys I've ever met. Also, people like Jalen Noel, I was good friends with him, so he was always at UW, so I'd always be at UW, just shooting with him, even rebounding, just playing one-on-one, just random stuff. Also, Ed Chang, he also went to Garfield, so I would be at UW. I appeared at UW all the time, just being around the coaches, being around the players. I knew all the players, kind of met them through there. So I kind of create connections through that. And then, I reached out to Cameron Dollar. we talked, and then Cameron Dollar pretty much made it happen.
That's neat. I wasn't sure. I never had asked you about how the whole walk-on
Sure, yeah.
situation developed for you. So I want to ask you, Noah, I got a lot of questions here. And so in the 2021-22 season, just this last season, I noticed that you were on the travel squad, that you were part of the UW team on road games. Can you share with us how the travel squad process works for UW basketball players for travel? Are all walk-on players allowed to travel the team? Tell us about how that works, the travel, when you become part of the traveling team.
Well, during season, it's a big thing. So you're gone every other week. You're gone for probably 5 days at a time, because you'll play 2 games. You'll go down to like Oregon, you play Oregon and Oregon State. So you'll be gone for a while. Basically it's a big, not really a party, but it's a big event. You'll have a line schedule, you'll have lunch this time, you'll have meetings, you'll have weights, you'll have all this stuff, dinner, film. So pretty much you don't have too much free time when you're, on the road. You have a few hours, go see the city. I got to explore Salt Lake City. I've never been there last year, which was pretty cool. Also my junior year, traveling too, that was, different with COVID. You couldn't really leave the hotel. But yeah, senior year was fun. You got to leave the hotel a little bit. We got dinner, like team dinners. We all went to Benihana or just some cool stuff like that. But then, yeah, it's a big event for sure.
Now, do all the walk-on players travel with the UW basketball team?
No, not all of them. Like 2, maybe 3 will come at a time.
Okay, so
yeah.
that must have been
my freshman and sophomore year, I didn't travel because we had a bunch of older walk-ons. So, but my junior and senior year, I got to.
That must have been kind of a real honor and a fun thing to be able to be part of.
Yeah, it was awesome. And also, we had on sophomore year, we went to Europe as a team, which was super cool.
What European countries did you see?
We went to Rome and Florence. So we had a little foreign tour. We played a few teams out there in Rome and 2 teams in Florence. Got to explore the city. Yeah.
That's awesome. So many other aspects of being part of the college. That's neat. Paul Schneiderman, host of Sports Untold podcast, also on Rainier Avenue Radio. The 116th edition today with University of Washington walk-on basketball player Noah Neubauer. I encourage the listeners to view and like and comment, subscribe, and go to sportsuntoldpodcast.com. All right, no, I mentioned this in the beginning, in the introduction, and it was really neat story that you got into the University of Washington Stanford game this year. And Dan Rayleigh, a local Sports Illustrated based columnist, wrote a column about it. And you scored a 3-point shot, and Coach Mike Hawkins ceremoniously gave you the game ball. Just tell us about that moment of scoring that 3-point shot. And it's just so neat because so few basketball players ever had that experience of making a 3-point shot in a Division I Pac-12 game.
Yeah. Wow. So you're always. It wasn't in a good situation. We were down 30 in that game. Pros and cons, but up 30, down 30. I'm looking at the clock, waiting for my time. Most games. I got in a few games. But yeah, Stanford game. Wow. Yeah, it was kind of like a blackout moment. You're just in the game because it's super surreal. Like growing up, I dreamed of going to UW, dreamed of playing for basketball of them. So yeah, going into those games where you're just like, wow, you see all the cameras, all the people. But yeah, I go in, and it's my senior year, so once I get the ball, I'm gonna shoot it for sure. So I got a screen, came off the screen, and I hezzy pulled. If you ask anybody I know, that's my go-to move. I'll hezzy, you shoot the 3. Wow, yeah, and it went in nothing but net. I couldn't. I try not to smile because you're in a game, you try to play defense and stuff. But yeah, right when that went in, my mind just blew up for sure.
It's such a fun moment that so many walk-on players never get a chance to play in a regular season game like that. So it's neat.
Especially Stanford, a Pac-12 game, huge game. Yeah, so I got a little Nike Stanford ball.
It's a great story.
Ball.
It's a great story.
It's awesome.
I'm not comparing you to Rudy, but it's kind of a Rudy moment.
Hey, I'll be Rudiger. I love Rudiger.
Gotcha. Noah, just sort of build on this, the situation of you not getting a lot of playing time and being heavily a practice player, and you're a good player, but you just didn't get a lot of games. Let me ask you, Noah, when you were sitting on the bench and watching some of those games, were there occasions where you're saying to yourself, Coach, you got to get me in. I know I'm going to get a great defensive stop. I know I can hit a 3 or 2. I know I can do a good job for the team. I just know that I'm going to stop a couple of these guys in their team. Were there moments in those games where you're like, just, Coach, I got to get in right now, you know?
Yeah, like if you see someone miss a wide open 3, like Coach, I know I'll make that. I know I'll knock that 3 down. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it's politics. He in most programs, only 7-8 guys play.
Right.
Which was, good and bad. It depends on the situation, but yeah, I mean, there's a couple, I could stop that point guard. I mean, in the zone or something like that. Yeah, of course, it's going to be your mindset. You could do that, but then until you go in, then it's tough out there. It's pretty stressful.
And Noah, tell me if this is correct. The protocol is a guy on the bench isn't really supposed to go to the coach, assistant coach, and say, "Hey, you got to get me in now." You're not really supposed to.
No. Yeah. Even the scholarship players who don't play, if you go up to the coach, you got to get me in there. Like, you'll just look at him and just get a little glare.
That's like a protocol no, basically.
Yeah. No. If you're gonna get in the game, coach will call your name. You'll make sure. Right. Yeah.
Was your confidence ever affected when you were not getting as much playing time as you wanted?
Yeah, for sure. I would say, why am I here? Why am I playing? There were some times where I wanted to quit for sure, because it's literally your whole life. Division I, especially UW school like UW, it's your whole life. You're a basketball player. People will say student athlete, but you're a basketball player first. Even though I was a walk-on, but yeah. Yeah, it was a grind. It was a lot going on at all times. But yeah, I'm glad I did it for sure.
Still loved it, considering.
Yeah, still loved every moment. Still lived my dream. Like I said, I would go to those games with my dad when I was 3. I'd go see Brandon Roy. I'd go see even Will Conroy, Quincy Pondexter, my coaches, which was awesome. I got to get coached by people who I watched growing up, which was super cool. Yeah, wouldn't change anything for the world.
And I saw your dad and your grandfather, a lot of your family members and friends watching you at those games. And we all
he wouldn't miss a game. Last 4 years he didn't miss one.
But we all enjoyed watching you. All right, no, there was a guy that played for the Sonics. This is a little before your time. He was a 12th man named Steve Scheffler and played in the early 90s. And he was actually a great college player, but the NBA, you could be conference player of the year and end up being like the 12th guy on the team. Sure. So when Scheffler was on the Sonics, he was a 12th man, but Coach George Karl would put him in certain unique situations. He didn't get a lot of playing time, but out of the blue, Coach Karl would sometimes put him in like middle of a game. Right. Do you think coaches like Mike Hawkins and other basketball coaches should utilize bench players more in games, not just to be necessarily more inclusive, but for strategic purposes, try to win more games? Do you think coaches could allow bench players to participate more in games?
I think they should, 100%. Even in specific situations, we're getting out rebounded, put this big guy in on defense real quick. We had a 7'4" center, Riley Soren,
right?
Which he never really played at all. He wasn't very fast or doing anything, but he was a force in the paint. On defense especially, he would just put his hands up and they would have to shoot over him. Or just specifics. Even like my freshman year, like Quinn Menard could shoot the lights out the ball from anywhere. And we during that situation, we didn't have a backup point guard. My sophomore year, we didn't have a backup point guard, so Quinn could have been utilized. I feel like we didn't have any shooters. I feel like Quinn could knock down 2 threes for being in the game for 2 minutes. Yeah, I feel like that it's a very special job. You're under a lot of pressure as a head coach, just basically to win games. So yeah, I feel like he could definitely utilize, but I don't blame him for not.
I'm going to create a term. Maybe this will go viral. No, I'm kidding. I call it like the Scheffler doctrine. The idea of
the Scheffler,
a deep depth bench guy more playing time.
For sure, it could be called the Scheffler. Yeah, for sure.
Scheffler,
yeah. I feel like you should utilize every player. Everybody has a different talent. Everybody does different things.
Right.
Right. And you need different things in the situation.
I asked you earlier about if you had not gone to Garfield, you probably would have got a lot more playing time in another high school. Similar question: if do you ever wonder if you didn't go to UW, if you went to Central or SBU or so many other schools, you probably would have got a lot of time, right?
D3, yeah, D2,
Yeah,
D3. You know, that's what people would tell me, and people still want me to play after this. People in my ear saying, yeah, why don't you go to SPU or go somewhere fun to play, and that would be awesome. But yeah, I feel like I definitely could play somewhere else. I feel like I'm good enough. I'm not good enough to play high division D1, not athletic enough. But yeah, I still think I'm a very good player. I can beat a lot of people, be better than a lot of people. But yeah, I don't know.
Are you ruling? Because I guess you have 2 years eligibility left.
I got 2 years
Are
left.
you ruling out the possibility of maybe playing, getting a master's degree and playing somewhere? I know you just graduated UW. Are you considering that at all? Or
I think I'm ruling it out. I do have 2 more years. I got the COVID year and I redshirted as well.
Okay.
My freshman year when I wasn't traveling. Yeah, I think I'm ruling it out. It's
okay.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know, but it was a long 4 years. Ups and downs for sure.
Sure.
Wouldn't change anything. However, I think for right now, want to take a break from competitive basketball for sure.
Understandable. Paul Schnabel again on the Sports Untold podcast, 116th edition with Noah Neubauer, also on Rainier Avenue Radio. I encourage my listeners to like, comment, subscribe, and go to sportsuntouldpodcast.com. I believe we're on Facebook Live. If anyone has any questions, we can happy to take a couple questions in the audience too for Noah. Sure. Any thoughts on the UW basketball program for the rest of this decade, rest of the 2020s? Are you optimistic about the program, and do you feel Coach Hawkins will be the coach for the rest of this decade? Any just general thoughts you want to share?
Well, I think basketball as a whole has changed, especially with these NIL deals and the transfer rule. So I feel like nowadays you're not really building programs, you're building teams for that 1 year. So I feel like because you're not getting very many freshmen anymore, you're getting fifth-year transfers or transfers from a different school. Like we just got a Kentucky guy, we got Noah Williams coming in. So we got a lot of transfers. So this year, I'm optimistic for sure. I feel like it's going to be an interesting year. I feel like, Pac-12 is a good league now. It's always been good. We had a great team last year. I think our team last year could beat this team this year, just based on personnel. But yeah, I'm very optimistic. The guy from Kentucky looks very good. He's super athletic. I feel like if they utilize him well, they'll be good. I feel like Mike Hawkins just got to get that zone together. The zone is, the reason why it worked so well my freshman year when we won Pac-12 was people were, the connection between everybody. Dave, Chris, we had a bunch of seniors. Dave, Chris, Noah, Dom, Matisse helped a lot. But yeah, you just got to get everybody on the same page. That's the only way that zone will work. You got the length, which he wanted. You got the length. So yeah, I'm very optimistic. It can be very good, very bad.
No, I want to share a thought with you and give me your take on this. I tend to be of the belief that Coach Hopkins deserves some more latitude during those rough pandemic times that, the 2020 season got canceled. Right. And then the 2020-2021 season started where the fans weren't able to be in attendance. Is that fair that during those pandemic times, certain coaches like Mike Hopkins probably need a little breathing room just based on all the craziness that was going on?
Yeah, there was a lot of heat on him for sure. This is going to be his 6th year, I believe, because I came his 2nd year. So yeah, this will be his 6th year. The pandemic, yeah, I would give him some break on those 2 years. The 2 years is very hard. Even last year, our whole team got COVID for like 2-3 weeks. So we got our Gonzaga game was canceled. Our UCLA game was canceled.
Right.
We had a bunch of games canceled this year.
Did you get hit with it too, Noah?
I got hit with it. Yeah, I was one of the first like four or five people who got it, and then just kept training down. So everybody eventually got it.
Yeah.
You never know. You could say, what if we beat Gonzaga that 1 year? What if we beat UCLA? That would have turned the whole season around. Yeah, I'd give him some leeway. Even my sophomore year when Quad A went out, we had a big opportunity we beat Baylor our first game, the national champions who, you never know what's going to happen, stuff like that. I can't blame him for something like that. You can't blame him for Quad A, but maybe keep a closer eye on him. I don't know. You could just say some random stuff because at a point guard like that, you can't lose him. You have everything you do. You got to make sure he's going to play. But yeah, we lost him, and it went downhill from there.
That was tough. No, refresh my memory. So the UW team, you guys never play Gonzaga during the 21-22 season, right?
Nope, because the COVID year, we played my freshman year. Freshman year, we played them at UW.
Right.
And then sophomore year and junior year was the COVID. Junior year was my COVID. Sophomore was like the end of the COVID. I thought we played them sophomore year.
Right.
And then we were going to play in my senior year. And then, we got COVID again.
Well, and if you guys play Gonzaga, and let's just say you guys played a heck of a game and lost by 2 or 4, that would have been a respectable game, probably. I'm not settling for losing way, but I think if that's a good reminder that you guys had a couple of games canceled last year.
Had a couple of games canceled, right. You can't say we would have won that game, but because they have great teams. But I mean, if you're head to head with them, it's momentum really, because you're playing 2 games a week in college basketball, so it's momentum. You gotta, if you win that first game, you have, you don't have to win that next game, but you're trying to split every road trip. You're trying to at least win one game, but it's about roles, really. Like teams will get on a roll in the March Madness. You just keep winning. So yeah, it's about momentum, really. So
okay, Noah. So you announced today that you pretty much have concluded your basketball career at University of Washington. You made a big announcement on the Sports Untold podcast. But I got a question for you. If you had to pick one memory, what was your favorite memory as a University of Washington basketball player in your 4 years as part of the team?
I feel like it was when we went to Europe. When we went to the foreign tour. It was just a great experience for our whole team. Our whole team would. Our whole team would bond. We'd all do stuff together, which was the coolest. Yeah, it was probably the best trip of my life. I'll remember it forever, for sure.
You loved experiencing Italy. It was just a great experience.
Italy, and just especially with those group of guys. We were all super close. It was just super cool, and even playing those teams. Playing those Roman teams and playing those teams like that was super fun.
Noah, one thing I like about that answer is if you had mentioned an on the court experience as your favorite memory, that's great too. But it's cool that you mentioned a foreign travel experience. It's fun that you mentioned going abroad was just one of the. Yeah. I mean,
it was the most fun. I mean, scoring was the thing I want to remember. I have 3 points, in the University of Washington handbook or whatever. I'm part of that scores club, but yeah, that was the coolest trip of my life for sure.
What else you're part of, Noah, is I Googled you the other day, and I saw in the I think it's Real GM, some website, you are listed as among the many basketball players that come from Seattle, Washington. So really? You're in that group as well of people that played college or pro basketball.
That's also a cool thing to, be a part of, the Brandon Roys, the, Tony Rodens, the DeJounte Murrays, just stay home. I wish Dejon Davis would have came earlier his freshman year, but can't blame him for that.
Stanford's a tough scholarship to say no.
Can't say no.
Well, let's wish Dejon came earlier as well. And Terrell Brown's a good player, isn't he?
Oh yeah, and Terrell, I went to high school with him as well. Yeah, I forgot about him. I mean, he had a crazy journey. His journey is incredible. I wish he would have, came earlier as well. But yeah, weren't giving him a shot, and he proved he belonged there.
Do you think Terrell can make an NBA roster?
I think he's a good chance. Maybe not those first 60 picks, but I feel like he could get picked up. The draft this year is pretty competitive. But he's getting a bunch of workouts. He's traveling all over the country right now, getting workouts with these NBA teams. I feel like he got a shot. I feel like everybody has a shot.
I enjoyed watching Terrell. I mean, some of his intangibles, the way he drives and his competitiveness. He was a lot of fun to watch. Hey, by the way, where does the Coleman come from Neubauer? Where does tell us where the Noah Coleman Neubauer, where does the Coleman part of your name come from?
To be honest, I have no idea.
Okay.
I know where Noah came. Actually, funny story about Noah. It was my parent when my mom was pregnant with me. My parents would watch this show, and the doctor's name was Dr. Noah, and my mom loved that name. So I'm from a TV show and from the 2000s. Yeah.
I should start calling you Ark for Noah's Ark, right?
Yeah, I've got that one a lot too, for sure.
Paul Schneiderman, host of the Sports Untold podcast, also on Rainier Avenue Radio on the 116th edition with former UW basketball player Noah Neubauer. I'm using the term former now. It looks like you're moving on, but yeah,
alum. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot with this question. I know you're friends with a lot of players that play in the NBA now. Mm-hmm. Who would you say, I'm going to mention a few names, is the best all-around player you ever play with UW? Would it be Isaiah Stewart, now plays the NBA, Matisse Thybulle, plays the Philadelphia 76ers, Jay Noel, Jay McDaniels? Those are a couple hints. If you had to pick one, who's the best UW player you ever played with?
All around?
All around. Pick one. I'm putting you on the spot, Noah.
That's tough because there's so many. Because Isaiah Stewart couldn't be stopped down low. You had to double team him to stop him. Jalen Noel he'll shoot over you. Matisse, you can't. Yeah, I mean Matisse is the best defensive player I think I've ever seen. He used to take the ball from me 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't know. He was just incredible. And even J-Mac. Yeah, J-Mac went to. Who's the best?
Best all around.
It's a tough question, man.
Do you want to come back to it? Want to come back to it?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say Jalen Noel just based off how he could score. He would get to his spots, and once he's at his spot, that the ball is going in. He's a good defensive player too, but yeah, I mean that would be the only thing. His offensive game was just so high.
He's a great player, very athletic guy, fun to watch. And you guys were good friends at Garfield too.
Yeah, he went to Garfield. I knew him even before that through Rotary. I knew his whole family. I knew his dad for a while. His dad was a great guy. I knew them for a while. Sorry
that his father has passed.
Yeah.
So you're friends with a lot of these guys, and would you say that some of the aforementioned Stewart, Thybulle, a bunch of those guys, would you say you're a friend of those guys, but also kind of advisor? Do these guys kind of throw off ideas to you, and do they ever want to just get your feedback on NBA life or different things? Because I know you're good friends with those guys, but are you kind of an advisor too a little bit?
No, not really an advisor, because they have all these people in their ears already, talking about what they should do, what they shouldn't do, all their managers and all that. They're probably tired of hearing it. They don't even ask me anything. But yeah, even another friend like Marquise Chris is another one of my good friends. I wasn't able to play with him at UW, but me and him, I'm probably the closest with him, out of all those guys. But he got advisors and all that stuff. But yeah, no.
Gotcha. Just more friendship than advice. Okay.
Yeah, no. Which I'm glad. Because business, you don't always want to get into business with your friends, because then stuff goes bad. But yeah, no, very friendly. I'll happily give them advice, but yeah, they got to handle, I think.
Okay. Because sometimes the players, including reserve players, can be advisors to players. Like there was a guy, Dennis, who played with Dennis Rodman. I think Jack Haley. He was sort of a kind of watch Rodman a little bit. I think the Bulls had him on as a guy because he connected with Rodman. He sort of was, you know what I mean, kind of a advisor a little bit. I don't know. I was just curious.
When I did play with Jaden McDaniels, I did have to advise him to keep his cool, because he was such a great player, and he would get so mad, and just at that point you just got to say it's not worth it. I think he could have been the number one pick if he would have kept his head and did what he needed to do. But still doing great in the NBA. But yeah, I feel like he could have been picked higher. That's all.
You think McDaniels would have benefited from a year or two more of school?
No, I think he did right going to the NBA off one. I just feel like he could have utilized that one more. I feel like, because he got a few just dumb technicals. Like one game he threw the ball at another player when he was on the bench. It was just little things where, he was he's still 18 years old coming in, big role, but
I'm a middle-aged man, and when I play tennis, I get really upset.
I'll throw my racket. Yeah, for sure.
At any level, you can get upset. But okay, no, these are two questions I've been asking pretty much every one of my guests since late 2019. I just love hearing guests answer these two questions. The first question is, who's a living sports figure? Can be a player, coach, owner, somebody in the sports world or broadcast you would love to interview, have a conversation with, and who is a deceased sports person in history you would have loved to have chatted with and had an interview with. So living one and a deceased one.
Living, I gotta say Steve Nash. Gotta
Steve
say
Nash.
Steve Nash. I gotta say Steve. He was one of my favorite players always. Always, I would say LeBron, but everybody'd say LeBron. And I feel like Steve is a very cool guy. Great basketball player and even a great coach. Coaching the Nets right now, so he has a lot of knowledge on the game and just a lot of knowledge in life. He's been around the system for a while and probably knows it by the back like it's the back of his hand.
He's taken some positions on social issues outside of sports.
He's very, very vocal, very good guy.
Love it. No, I had not received the name of Steve Nash. I received Steve Kerr, but you're the first one to mention.
Kerr would be pretty cool. Yeah, he's very vocal too. I like Steve Kerr. He's a very good guy.
I love the Steve Nash answer. It's fun to get a new name because I've gotten Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan.
Tiger would be cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of cool guys. Like I was
Andy Koufax, a couple older guys mentioned.
Even Michael Jordan. Meeting him would be incredible. Just really figure out his story. There's so many people out, but. Yeah, I don't know.
I love how you mentioned.
He just came to my head. Yeah, he just came to my head for some reason.
Love it. And who's a deceased sports figure in history? Could be an owner, general manager, a player that you would have loved to have spent some time with. You want some clues?
No, I mean, there's a lot. Because I like a lot of NFL, because a lot of deceased NFL guys too. But basketball, I would say,
it can be any sport.
Okay.
Tennis, whatever, any sport. Yeah.
And I would have to say Muhammad Ali.
His name's come up. Ali. Yep.
I feel like I would say Muhammad Ali he's what he went through, what he, lived would probably be the greatest story to hear ever. I feel like Muhammad. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, give me some other examples.
I've gotten Jackie Robinson, Babe Ruth.
Yeah, Jackie. Yeah, wow.
A lot of names. A lot of names.
A lot of baseball players that would be cool. What about even Babe Ruth? Just seeing all the greats. Being just one of the greats would be awesome. Yeah, Jackie Robinson. Wow, he's one of my favorite players growing up. I used to have his jersey. Meeting him would be awesome.
A lot of great names. A living sports figure I'd love to chat with, who's in his 90s now, Willie Mays, famous baseball player.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be cool.
There's so many great names of figures. I want to get your perspectives. You threw out Steve Nash, Muhammad Ali. I love it.
Yeah, Steve Nash. I mean, and if you're talking about any sports, I would like to talk to Ken Griffey Jr. He was one of my idols growing up.
Still pick Nash though as number one guy.
Yeah, I mean. I'll pick Nash. I'll pick Steve. Okay,
stick with Steve Nash. Yeah. It was broader than basketball. Okay, yeah.
We'll stick with Steve.
All right, favorite sports movie?
Ooh, there's a lot. You mentioned Rudy earlier. I love Rudy. We Are Marshall. There's a lot. Loving basketball. I mean, so my favorite. I'll say We Are Marshall.
It's a great.
I grew up watching that with my dad all the time, so I'll say that for my favorite. But yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
I've actually thrown that movie out in the list of some of the top sports movies ever. We Are Marshall's a good one.
Yeah, great one. I just watched it, a little bit ago. Rewatched it.
Hoosiers, Any Given Sunday. There's a lot of good ones. But you pick We Are Marshall. It's a good one.
Yeah.
Good one. Okay. Paul Schneiderman, host of Sports Untold podcast, also on Rainier Avenue Radio. I encourage my listeners to subscribe, like, and comment. Go to sportsuntoldpodcast.com. You got a few more minutes, Noah?
Of course.
Great. I want to get a couple more questions in. So I asked you about advice earlier, if you give some of those NBA guys advice, and you said, no, we're more friends. I don't give them a lot of advice. But what advice do you give to a younger version of Noah Neubauer, a guy who's interested in walking on to a Division I basketball program? What advice would you give this younger version of Noah Neubauer?
I would just really say, if you really love the game and you really want to play, just never give up. Because I was, like I said, I was always little growing up. So 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, I would play for Rotary's B team, and then 6th grade I got cut from Rotary. Because those guys, started to get armpit hair, and I, just started getting a little height on me. I would just say never quit. I definitely wanted to quit a lot of times. I wanted to transfer from Garfield. My dad would not let me. I would just say stick with something. I don't really see this transfer thing. I don't really like that. I don't like how kids are going to 4 different high schools. to play basketball. I mean, if it's not a good fit, then yeah, go find a better fit, but don't do that every year. But advice would be, yeah, just if you really love the game, I would just keep playing and just keep having fun with it. If it's not fun, then you won't want to work on it.
Would you encourage a younger version of Noah who could get a lot of playing time at a smaller college just to walk on at a Division I program where he or she's probably not going to get much playing time versus going to a smaller college where you probably will start or get a lot of playing time?
I mean, I personally would not change anything that I did. It's always more fun playing. It'd be more fun going to a D3 and averaging 30, or averaging 20, getting a bunch of shots. Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I knew I wanted to go to UW since, like I said, a kid, I was going to the games. So yeah, that was a dream come true. Otherwise, yeah, no, I wanted to go to a bigger school. I mean, that's just me. People have, different views on that. People, work better in a smaller college area, but yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I would definitely walk on again 100 times.
Just watching you on those sidelines, Noah, you just loved it. I could tell you loved it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I try to, encourage everything. Yeah.
We're going to conclude this interview in a minute. I want to know what's in the future for Noah Neubauer, and just share a little bit more about something we haven't talked about today that you want to share.
Like I said, I'm doing a little construction certification program next year at the University of Washington. So this summer I'm going to be doing a lot of golfing. I just picked up golf. One of my new hobbies. I love it. I try to go once a week. Tennis, tennis club, picked that back up. I played as a kid. Yeah, I think I want to do developing. I want to get in developing. I think I'm, done with competitive basketball. I'll play these leagues, because I still love the game. I'll never, quit on basketball. Still play, the Bellevue Club or tennis club league. Yeah, I think I want to get into some construction developing. I'm ready for my new, my new timeline. I mean, I played basketball my whole life. Now was my whole life. Never had a job because I wasn't, able to. Didn't really travel very much. Especially, there's always tournaments going on. So yeah, I mean, I would love to travel. I would love to, get into a new job, see what the workforce is talking about and, inspire to other passions. Like I said, golf's one of my new passions. I'm not too good yet, but I'm getting there. Great. Could coaching ever be in your future, Noah? I mean, yeah, I do. I love little kids. I like, playing with little kids there because they're just a great time. They have such a big personality. I'm working the Mike Hawkins camps this summer. Great. And those are next week, all throughout the summer, which I've done every year, last 4 years, which is super fun. You're a little coach, they all look up to you, which is fun because I went to those camps. I went to the Lorenzo Romar camps growing up. So I got to meet, John Brockman when I was younger. I think I might have met Quincy then, stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of cool just being there, what you used to do, and then now doing it yourself. Well, my age is going to show. As a junior high kid, I went to Andy Russo's basketball camp. So cool. Yeah, just stuff like that. You'll never forget it. Like I always remember. I went to a Nate Robinson camp growing up too. Like you're always going to remember. And I remember some of my coaches there, I always remember them, just it's always memories. So I hope I can, put some memories in these kids' minds and make it a good time for them. One more thing I want to share with you, is I had a guy on my show last year, Joe Pasternak, who's the coach at UCSB. And Joe was Bobby Knight's student manager at University of Indiana, but he never played college basketball. Okay. So you played college basketball. There's coaches never even played that coach. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. So yeah, there's IQ for the game. You either know the game and you don't. There's some point guards who know every position, know exactly where the 5 should be, exactly where the 4 should be, 3. Just basketball IQ. Some people have a very high IQ. So people like him, they know about the game, wasn't able to play themselves. Maybe not athletic enough or never really got the things, but they know what to do. They know how to do it. So yeah, it's a big aspect. I don't know. I know the game. I know, just growing up, I know every single play, every single play there is. So, I could easily make plays, easily create a team, which would be awesome. I would love coaching. That'd be cool.
Let's see. Maybe you could coach at some level, even at a K through 12 level.
Yeah, even if it's a third grade team. Yeah.
Gotcha. You'd be great with those kids. Well, Noah, thank you so much for doing this on the 116th
Thanks for having me.
Sports Untold podcast. Well, had a great time today. It's fun to get your voice, hear your voice, and get your perspectives. And I'm sure I will see you again soon. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. We'll talk soon for sure.
Thanks, Noah. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.